Hey, this is Ian Carlin from Ronan JKD and the Empty Cup podcast. I just want to do a vlog, and I want to let you all know as well that there's going to be content here on the YouTube channel that isn't going to be available much, in any other places. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you listen to the Empty Cup podcast and you want more content, I plan on doing vlogs a lot. I plan on doing fight tip type videos and just instructional type videos and things like that that you're only going to be able to get here on the YouTube channel. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel and help us out. And today I wanted to talk about something that I hear get asked a lot, and I've been asked before, and that is MMA good for the street fight? And the answer to that is a big whopping yes, with a few exceptions. And a few, I shouldn't say exceptions, but a few caveats, a few things we might want to add or think about. Now, often, the reason why this is being brought up is it's normally being brought up by some traditional stylist who bags on MMA, and they watch MMA and they say things like, oh, that would never work on me because I would never get taken to the ground, or if they say things like, if that was me, I would just eye gouge them, or I'd kick him in the groin, or I would do a knee shot. I'd do a knee break on them, and their structure isn't right, or you just hear a bunch of stuff from people who normally hate on MMA, who come from traditional background and who don't have an open mind. And I come from a traditional background, and I still embrace a lot of my traditional pedigree, but I have an open mind as well. And when you're talking about MMA, you're talking about people who are going full contact, under pressure, and that is about the closest things you're going to get to a real life situation. So, what about all these people who say, well, what about somebody who gouges you in the eye or goes through for a groin shot or something like that? Let me analogize it this way. MMA is like walking around with $1 million in your pocket, okay, or $1 million in your bank, and you want to buy most anything that you come in contact with. Now, with $1 million, you can buy, now with the extreme of say like houses and cars and stuff. I'm just talking about like going down to, your local Target or something like that with $1 million. You can buy almost anything with $1 million. Okay. I mean, you can buy a lot of stuff. And let's just say every once in a while you run into something that's $1,001,001. Can you still buy it? Well, chances are yes. You might need to haggle a little bit, but for example, if you wanted to buy a piece of property that was a million and $1 million, $1,005,000, but I came to that person and I had $1 million cash to give. Normally, they would just go ahead and they would, yeah, oh yeah, for sure, I'll take it. We'll knock the 5,000. If you're willing to give me $1 million right here, they'll knock the $5,000 off, and you'll walk away with that property. And that's kind of what it's like with MMA. You go onto the street, and somebody confronts you on the street. You are used to receiving punches, dodging full contact punches, stuffing takedowns, dodging kicks, and then throwing kicks, taking someone to the ground, that kind of a thing. Now, so what about some of the objections like, well, I would just gouge them in the eyes, okay? Or I would kick them, this is another one, I would just straight kick them to the groin or something like that. Now, the reason why I would say that that's the analogous to the $1,001,001 thing is that an MMA fighter is not preparing for that when they fight. Okay, they are not preparing for somebody to kick them in the groin. They are not preparing for it. It is a sports competition. It's a full contact live resistance sports competition, but it is yet nonetheless a competition. So then why do I say it still works on the street? Well, because angles and because how people move and everything, these people, like if I'm used to stuffing a kick that comes at my leg, okay, or comes at my stomach, and I'm used to stuffing that kick, do you really think, and I'm used to doing that all the time, somebody throws a kick and I lift my leg up for a jam, or I pull my elbow in, or I do, something that blocks a kick, and you say, oh, I'm going to beat this guy, this MMA fighter, because I'm going to kick him right to the groin. Yeah, as an MMA fighter, he's not normally thinking about, oh, I need to block kicks to the groin. But guess what? All those things, they work as well. That if you come to kick me in the groin and I move my knee to do a knee check, I've just defeated your kick. Okay. So a lot of these techniques that they say that they would pull off in the street, the defense for those techniques in MMA will work. They'll still work. So somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to scratch your eyes out," and they come up with some type of leopard claw or some type of eye jab or something like that, or they come in with an eye jab, which is a legitimate technique. Don't misunderstand me. I'm all for in the street going for a type of an eye jab. But how is this really much different than this or this? And if an MMA fighter is used to dodging this all day, boom, when somebody comes up and does this doesn't have some magical power that, oh my gosh, it's coming at my eye. It's an eye jab. I'm only used to dodging. I'm only used to parrying or dodging jabs. I'm not used to parrying and dodging eye jabs. Oh gosh, it's going to hit me right in the head. Oh, I guess my MMA sucks. No, it just doesn't work that way. If you're used to dodging this or parrying that, in either a boxer way or something, and somebody comes along and does this or this or this or this, the guy still knows how to move out of the way, or a haymaker or something like that. If you're used to dodging the cross and somebody comes along, Street Fighter comes along with some haymaker, you're going to still be used to dodging that or covering from that, or doing the elbow type of shield. You're going to be used to seeing those angles, and it's going to work. So even though an MMA fighter isn't necessarily preparing for somebody to somebody to go for the eye gouge, is not necessarily preparing for somebody to kick them in the groin, their techniques will still work, will still fend off those things. And they are also participating in live resistance. So MMA does work on the street. Now, are there like a couple of exceptions that maybe somebody who's in MMA might need to watch for? Yeah, I can think of one exception, and that is being let me think of two exceptions. Well, let's see here. I'm just vlogging here, so I'm going to think of three exceptions. So the third one will be multiple attackers. The second one will be weapons, and the third one will be the spontaneous type of fight. Okay. So let's deal with those three. So as an MMA, that doesn't mean that an MMA fighter, just because he never prepared for those, wouldn't whip somebody's ass. They still might very well whip their ass. That just means they're not practicing for that. So what do I mean by the unprepared fight? The unprepared fight would be like, so for example, it's the opposite of what happens in the octagon. So in the octagon, or in a sparring match, I'm squared up with you. I'm prepared to fight you. We've agreed. We've had this agreement. Where sometimes, and that happens a lot in street fights. Okay, that is a common thing that does happen in street fights, where the guys just kind of face off and square off each other. But there are a couple of occasions where maybe it doesn't happen that way. Somebody comes up, there's an altercation. Hey, you looking at my girlfriend, and they shove you, or they grab you, and then they start to hit you. So that is a situation that an MMA fighter might want to think about and maybe prepare for if he's thinking about going out on the street. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that what they have doesn't work. Somebody comes and shoves you, you might get shoved, come back, and do some awesome MMA stuff, some awesome Thai boxing. You might come back and take them to the ground and lock them out. Okay. I'm just saying that MMA isn't thinking that way, and they might be caught off guard. Second thing is weapons. Well, you know what? Quite honestly, we have to learn weapons. That is just something that is a possibility when you're going on the street. Now, again, might an MMA fighter beat the crap out of somebody? I would normally generally put my money on the MMA fighter. I really would, because again, he knows what it's like to have somebody try to come at him for real, and he knows what it's like um, to deliver full contact striking. So then the third one would be multiple attackers. And that's a weakness of a lot of systems, not just MMA. It's a weakness in many, many arts. That's just something, again, you have to prepare for. But an MMA fighter still might win. He's certainly going to have an edge because of reasons I've already mentioned. Okay. And for all you people out there who say, well, that would never work because I would just do X, Y, and Z. Well, go ahead and get in the cage sometime and see if it actually works. See if you can actually pull it off. You'll be surprised, you know, uh, what actually works and what actually doesn't. So I get this all the time. Now, so is MMA good for street fighting? Absolutely, yes. Is MMA is the goal of MMA a street fight? No, the goal of MMA is MMA. Now, are there systems out there that their goal oriented is street fighting? Yeah. So there are a couple of them. For example, Jeet Kune Do is one of them. And we thought whether or not Jeet Kune Do is good for MMA on another podcast or another vlog. But there are some styles out there who do continually practice. Okay, if I get in a fight, I'm going to go for the eyes right away. If I get into a fight, I'm going to go for the groin right away. That is something that is practiced in people who are actually, the mentality is, I'm going to be confronted in the street. You might go through a training where somebody does grab you. Somebody grabs your arm or they grab your shirt and they pull you and punch you, and it's not going to be like you see in karate or you see in Systema or something like that, or where somebody grabs you and then you do your deal over, and you do your Kodagaishi move or something like that. That's not going to happen. You have to deal with somebody actually jerking you, around, pulling you, pushing you, and you have to deal with the other fist coming at you. So yeah, but what I'm saying is there are some arts that are they are designed for street fighting. They are designed because they want to be. They're not necessarily designed to be good in the cage. Their point is to be good in a street fight. Now, should some of these people be able to go into the cage and use their techniques? Yeah, okay. I mean, if I can kick your knee, and I always practice kicking the knee, which is a big move in JKD. Somebody comes at you, you do that low side kick. I should have no problem moving that up a little bit or down a little bit and kicking you in the thigh or the calf. And I should have no problem, if I'm truly legit, going into the cage and instead of kicking the knee, kick the calf or kick the thigh. Okay, I should be able to test these things and have them work. If I can pull off an eye jab real quickly, I should be able to put gloves on and pull off the strike real quickly. And it should work in a cage match as well. So The only difference is what's your mentality? What are you training for? What is it that you are, what's the object? What's the end goal of your training? And for some, particularly some Filipino arts and stuff like that, their goal really is a weapon against a weapon. And for MMA, it's cage against cage. But can MMA work on the street? Well, the answer to that is absolutely 100%. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I would put my money, as I said already, I would put my money on an MMA fighter most of the time. Okay. So all this BS about, well, I would just jab him in the eye, or I would just kick him in the groin, or, I would just give that one solid solar plexus reverse punch to him. It's all theory. Try it out, see if it works. And you're going to find out that a lot of times it doesn't. So that's really all I have to say for today for this vlog. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you could listen and watch. Please share this on your favorite social media if you liked it, if it helped you. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel here at Ronan JKD, and also go to the Empty Cup podcast on iTunes and subscribe there. Thanks a lot.